Hi there everybody, this is David, and in today's sponsored video I want to talk about Lost Eidolons, Veil of the Witch by Ocean Drive Studio. 3 years ago, I reviewed their first game, Lost Eidolons, and honestly back then, I almost wanted to turn it down because I didn't think that I was going to like it because it looked way too Western for me, but I ended up just going ahead and saying, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll review it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I was more than happy to go ahead and check out this standalone spin-off of the original game. I mean, y'all know me, I love a good tactical RPG, and I loved the first game. So today, I do want to tell you all about it, and I definitely do think that's worth a sub as you come and you join my party and you level on up with me. Thank you so much for your sub, your like, and your brand new hype. All of those help me out a ton. And now, let's go ahead and dive right on into what's essentially like Darkest Dungeon meets Fire Emblem. If this does look familiar to some of y'all, that's because it's been out in early access for quite some time over on Steam, but it does release officially on October the 9th over on the PC for Steam, the PS5, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. But if you do want to try it out for yourself before you buy it, there's also a free demo available on Steam, the PS5, and Xbox, where your progress will transfer on over into the full game. And the link for all that is over in the description, as well as the pinned comment, so please be sure to check all that out. Now, this is not like your typical bright-eyed and bushy-tailed game. This is a Western RPG, revolving around death, necromancy, reincarnation, family, and loss. And you play as Ash, or in my case, David, because you can rename all of your characters. Anyway, he wakes on up after a shipwreck with amnesia, because of course he has amnesia. And he, along with his two allies, Marco and Evie, are the sole survivors of the wreck of the Redeemer. Before long, you will make it into the only safe town on the island, where you learn that the populace is suffering from plague, and the local leaders have turned to necromancy, raising the dead, plundering graves, and torching villages. So you're officially here on behalf of the mainland to investigate rumors of an Imperial resurgence, but survival quickly becomes the main priority against the hordes of the undead. So like any good heroes, you set on off to save the day. At its core, Lost Eidolons Veil of the Witch is a grid-based, turn-based tactical RPG. Swords, spears, bows, axes, and magic all have unique ranges, and weapons also carry special effects. Swords can cause bleed, daggers can boost critical hits, and axes can prevent counterattacks. And positioning is critical thanks to a zone of control system that prevents enemies from moving past units without engaging them. The battlefield itself also plays a big role, as terrain affects your movement as well as your defense. Standing in the brush will increase your guard, and water will slow down your movement. But terrain can also be altered, like brush catching fire and then becoming hazardous. It is a nice layer of interaction beyond just kind of like moving units across the tiles. And then there's larger monsters, or the bosses, which bring in another wrinkle. They'll display their weak point icons tied to a specific weapon type each turn, and if you attack that correct weapon type, you will deal bonus extra damage, and then clearing all of those icons will unleash a devastating strike against them, more than likely killing them, or at least severely weakening them. The familiar rock-paper system is also here straight out of Fire Emblem, with armor and weapon affinities too. Your heavy armor is weak to axes, leather armor is weak to swords, and cloth armor to your piercing weapons like bows and spears. So this really does become a lot more than just kind of like hit the enemy with your strongest attack. As you go into the fights, you'll level up, you'll gain stats, resonance stones that enchant and power up your equipment, and also get different choices on which skills to upgrade. It's pretty standard stuff, at least so far, because here is where the game differs most from Fire Emblem and other tactical RPGs, because you're not expected to finish it all in one run. You're expected to die, and death is part of the design, so you'll be dying a lot. And whenever you do die, you'll lose all the temporary progress that you've made. All those enchanted weapons, the relics, and the skill upgrades, they all vanish. The only thing that really carries over are the permanent upgrades that you unlock with the sacred embers that you get after each battle over at the Altar of Fire, which is essentially your large skill tree. And these are permanent buffs that strengthen your characters for all future runs, so then every attempt will just get a little bit easier. And this here all ties into the game's replayability. Maps, encounters, and rewards are all randomized, and after each battle, you'll often face branching choices. Do you risk a tougher fight for some better loot? Want to go ahead and recruit a new ally? Or maybe talk to a merchant and do some shopping, or even take a breather and rest at the camp? The choice is yours, and it means that no two playthroughs will turn out exactly the same. Leveling up also works differently, as characters don't gain traditional levels, but they instead improve their stats and their masteries. And at various mastery milestones, you'll unlock new abilities, which come in different rarities. And then you can spend gold to re-roll these abilities if they all suck, but most of the time, they're good enough. This again feeds into that random not every playthrough will be the same thing. Your equipment can also be enchanted, and that all changes too, with certain characters resonating better with the specific items. After you inevitably die your horrible deaths, only to be revived by the mysterious witch, you'll then regroup at town. And here's where you'll be talking to all your allies, training and promoting your units, recruiting new allies, and buying equipment to upgrade your skill trees. Also, all of the conversations are fully voice acted. Not just all the storyline scenes, but even all the smaller interactions and small conversations in the pub are fully voiced too. Not only that, but you also have access to campsites during these expeditions, where you can rest, build rapport with your allies, and train up your skills. And the higher your rapport and bonding levels with your allies is, the more likely that you'll be able to assist them in combat, with sporadic heals, counterattacks, or blocks, things like that. Now, I did say earlier that this here is definitely more on the challenging side, and there is no difficulty selector here either. So you've just got to keep on trucking against the hordes of these undead, and keep on dying, and keep on retrying. Though it isn't all bad. You are given a limited number of undos that you can use during battle to correct major mistakes, so it does strike a good balance between punishing and fair. Normally, I do like more brighter and more colorful games, but since I loved the first Lost Eidolons, I just had to check out the spin-off game. And here is more of the same goodness, but upgraded in all the right ways. Lost Eidolons Veil of the Witch takes the tactical depth of Fire Emblem and adds in those roguelike unpredictabilities. It's a game where failure is not the end, but instead part of the progression, part of what you're supposed to do. And if you enjoy strategy RPGs and you want something that feels a little bit familiar yet different enough to stand up its own with a really nice adult storyline, then this is definitely worth a look. And remember, it is available right now on Steam, PS5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, and there is a free demo available with a progress transfer that is linked in the description below. So please be sure to check that out and level on up and join my party by subscribing. Also, let me know how you feel about this game in the comments. I can't wait to hear from all y'all. And as always, have a good day.